An Old-Fashioned Girl by Louisa May Alcott. Chapter 1. Polly Arrives.
It's time to go to the station, Tom.
Come on, then.
Oh, I'm not going. It's too wet. Shouldn't have a crib left if I went out such a day as this, and I want to look nice when Polly comes.
You don't expect me to go and bring home a strange girl alone, do you?
And Tom looked as much alarmed as if his sister had proposed to him to escort the wild woman of Australia.
Of course I do. It's your place to go and get her, and if you wasn't a bear...
I say, if you please, is your name Polly Milton?
Meekly asked Tom, pausing before the breezy stranger.
No, it isn't,
answered the young lady, with a cool stare that utterly quenched him.
Where in thunder is she?
Growled Tom, walking off in high dudgeon. The quick tap of feet behind him made him turn in time to see a fresh-faced little girl running down the long station, and looking as if she rather liked it. As she smiled and waved her bag at him, he stopped and waited for her, saying to himself,
Hello, I wonder if that's Polly.
Up came the little girl, with her hand out, and a half-shy, half-merry look in her blue eyes, as she said, inquiringly,
This is Tom, isn't it?
Yes. How did you know?
And Tom got over the ordeal of handshaking without thinking of it. He was so surprised.
Oh, Fan told me you'd got curly hair and a funny nose and kept whistling and wore a gray cap pulled over your eyes, so I knew you directly.
And Polly nodded at him in the most friendly manner, having politely refrained from calling the hair red, the nose a pug, and the cap old, all of which facts Fanny had carefully impressed upon her memory.
Where are your trunks?
Asked Tom, as he was reminded of his duty by her handing him the bag which he had not offered to take.
Father told me not to wait for anyone, else I'd lose my chance of a hack, so I gave my check to a man, and there he is with my trunk.
And Polly walked off after her one modest piece of baggage, followed by Tom, who felt a trifle depressed by his own remissness in polite attentions.
She isn't a bit of a young lady, thank goodness. Fan didn't tell me she was pretty. Don't look like city girls, nor act like 'em neither,
he thought, trudging in the rear, and eyeing with favor the brown curls bobbing along in front. As the carriage drove off, Polly gave a little bounce on the springy seat, and laughed like a delighted child.
I do like to ride in these nice hacks, and see all the fine things and have a good time, don't you?
She said, composing herself the next minute, as if it suddenly occurred to her that she was going a-visiting. Chapter 4. Little Things. Fanny played and read aloud. Polly sung and told stories, and did the latter so well that it got to be a regular thing for her to begin as soon as twilight came and Tom was settled in his favorite place on Grandma's sofa.
Fire away, Polly,
said the young sultan one evening, as his little Scheherazade sat down in her low chair, after stirring up the fire till the room was bright and cozy.
I don't feel like stories tonight, Tom. I've told all I know and can't make up any more,
answered Polly, leaning her head on her hand with a sorrowful look that Tom had never seen before. He watched her a minute, and then asked, curiously,
What were you thinking about just now, when you sat staring at the fire, and getting soberer and soberer every minute?
I was thinking about Jimmy.
Would you mind telling me about him? You know, you said you would sometime. But don't, if you'd rather not,
said Tom, lowering his rough voice respectfully.
I like to talk about him, but there isn't much to tell, began
Polly, grateful for his interest.
Sitting here with you reminded me of the way I used to sit with him when he was sick. We used to have such happy times, and it's so pleasant to think about them now.
He was awfully good, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't, but he tried to be, and Mother says that is half the battle. We used to get tired of trying, but we kept making resolutions and working hard to keep 'em. I don't think I got on much, but Jimmy did, and everyone loved him.
Didn't you ever squabble, as we do?
Yes, indeed, sometimes. But we couldn't stay mad, and always made it up again as soon as we could. Jimmy used to come round first and say, "All serene, Polly," so kind and jolly that I couldn't help laughing and being friends right away.
Did he not know a lot?
Yes, I think he did, for he liked to study and wanted to get on so he could help father. People used to call him a fine boy, and I felt so proud to hear it. But they didn't know half how wise he was because he didn't show off a bit. I suppose sisters always are grand of their brothers, but I don't believe many girls had as much right to be as I had.
Most girls don't care two pins about their brothers, so that shows you don't know much about it.
Well, they ought to if they don't, and they would if the boys were as kind to them as Jimmy was to me.
Why? What did he do?
Loved me dearly, and wasn't ashamed to show it,
cried Polly, with a sob in her voice that made her answer very eloquent.
What made him die, Polly?
Asked Tom soberly, after a little pause.
He got hurt coasting last winter, but he never told which boy did it, and he only lived a week. I helped take care of him, and he was so patient, I used to wonder at him, for he was in dreadful pain all the time. He gave me his books, and his dog, and his speckled hens, and his big knife, and said, "Goodbye, Polly," and kissed me the last thing, and then... Oh, Jimmy, Jimmy, if he only could come back.
Poor Polly's eyes had been getting fuller and fuller, lips trembling more and more as she went on, when she came to that
"Goodbye."
She couldn't get any further, but covered up her face and cried as if her heart would break. Tom was full of sympathy, but didn't know how to show it, so he sat shaking up the camphor bottle and trying to think of something proper and comfortable to say, when Fanny came to the rescue and cuddled Polly in her arms, with soothing little pats and whispers and kisses, till the tears stopped, and Polly said she
"Didn't mean to, and wouldn't any more. I've been thinking about my dear boy all the evening, for Tom reminds me of him,"
she added with a sigh.
Me? How can I, when I ain't a bit like him?
Cried Tom, amazed.
"But you are in some ways."
Wish I was, but I can't be, for he was good, you know.
"So are you, when you choose. Hasn't he been good and patient, and don't we all like to pet him when he's clever, Fan?"
said Polly, whose heart was still aching for her brother, and ready, for his sake, to find virtues even in tormenting Tom.
Yes, I don't know the boy lately, but he'll be as bad as ever when he's well,"
returned Fanny, who hadn't much faith in sick-bed repentances.
Much you know about it,
growled Tom, lying down again, for he had sat bolt upright when Polly made the astounding declaration that he was like the well-beloved Jimmy. That simple little history had made a deep impression on Tom. Chapter 8. 6 years afterward.
"What do you think Polly is going to do this winter?"
exclaimed Fanny, looking up from the letter she had been eagerly reading.
Going to deliver lectures on women's rights,
said the young gentleman, who was carefully examining his luxuriant crop of decidedly auburn hair as he lounged with both elbows on the chimney-piece.
"Going to set her cap for some young minister and marry him in the spring,"
added Mrs. Shaw, whose mind ran a good deal upon matchmaking just now.
"I think she is going to stay at home and do all the work, 'cause servants cost so much. It would be just like her,"
observed Maud, who could pronounce the letter R now.
"It's my opinion she is going to open a school, or something of that sort, to help those brothers of hers along,"
said Mr. Shaw, who had put down his paper at the sound of Polly's name.
"Every one of you wrong, though Papa comes nearest the truth,"
cried Fanny.
"She's going to give music lessons and support herself so that Will may go to college. He is the studious one, and Polly is very proud of him. Ned, the other brother, has a business talent and don't care for books, so he has gone out west and will make his own way anywhere. Polly says she isn't needed at home now, the family is so small, and Kitty can take her place nicely, so she is actually going to earn her own living and hand over her share of the family income to Will. What a martyr that girl does make of herself."
And Fanny looked as solemn as if Polly had proposed some awful self-sacrifice.
When is she coming?
asked Mrs. Shaw.
She doesn't say. She thanks me for asking her here as usual, but says she shall go right to work, and had better begin with her own little room at once. Won't it seem strange to have Polly in town and yet not with us?
She's a mighty taking little body, and I'm glad she's to be in town, though I'd like it better if she didn't bother about teaching, but just stayed here and enjoyed herself,"
said Tom lazily.
I've no doubt she would feel highly honored to be allowed to devote her time to your amusement, but she can't afford expensive luxuries, and she don't approve of flirting, so you will have to let her go her own way and refresh herself with such glimpses of you as her engagements permit,"
answered Fanny, in the sarcastic tone which was becoming habitual to her.
"You are getting to be a regular old maid, Fan, as sharp as a lemon and twice as sour,"
returned Tom, looking down at her with an air of calm superiority.
Do be quiet, children. You know I can't bear anything like contention. Maud, give me my Shetland shawl and put a cushion at my back.
As Maud obeyed her mother, with a reproving look at her erring brother and sister, a pause followed, for which everyone seemed grateful. They were sitting about the fire after dinner, and all looked as if a little sunshine would do them good. It had been a dull November day, but all of a sudden the clouds lifted, and a bright ray shot into the room. Everyone turned involuntarily to welcome it, and everyone cried out,
"Why, Polly!"
For there on the threshold stood a bright-faced girl, smiling as if there was no such thing as November weather in the world.
"You dear thing, when did you come?"
cried Fanny, kissing both the blooming cheeks with real affection, while the rest hovered near, waiting for a chance.
I came yesterday and have been getting my nest in order, but I couldn't keep away any longer, so I ran up to say, "How do you do?"
answered Polly, in the cheery voice that did one's heart good to hear.
"It does seem so good to have you here again,"
said Maud, cuddling Polly's cold hand as she sat at her feet when she was fairly established between Fanny and Mr. Shaw, while Tom leaned on the back of his mother's chair and enjoyed the prospect.
"How do you get on? When do you begin? Where's your nest? Now tell all about it,"
began Fanny, who was full of curiosity about the new plan.
I shall get on very well, I think, for I've got 12 scholars to begin with, all able to pay a good price, and I shall give my first lesson on Monday.
"Don't you dread it?"
asked Fanny.
Not much. Why should I?
answered Polly stoutly.
"Well, I don't know. It's a new thing and must be a little bit hard at first,"
stammered Fanny, not liking to say that working for one's living seemed a dreadful hardship to her.
It will be tiresome, of course, but I shall get used to it. I shall like the exercise, and the new people and places I must see will amuse me. Then the independence will be delightful, and if I can save a little to help Kitty along with, that will be best of all.
Polly's face shone as if the prospect was full of pleasure instead of work, and the hearty good-will with which she undertook the new task seemed to dignify her humble hopes and plans, and make them interesting in the sight of others.
Is your room comfortably furnished? Can't we lend you anything, my dear? An easy chair now, or a little couch? So necessary when one comes in tired,"
said Mrs. Shaw, taking unusual interest in the affair.
Thank you, but I don't need anything, for I brought all sorts of home comforts with me. Oh, Fan, you ought to have seen my triumphal entry into the city, sitting among my goods and chattels in a farmer's cart.
Polly's laugh was so infectious that everyone smiled and forgot to be shocked at her performance.
Yes,
she added.
I kept wishing I could meet you, just to see your horrified face when you saw me sitting on my little sofa, with boxes and bundles all round me, a birdcage on one side, a fishing basket with a kitten's head popping in and out of the hole on the other side, and jolly old Mr. Brown in his blue frock perched on a keg of apples in front. It was a lovely bright day, and I enjoyed the ride immensely, for we had all sorts of adventures.
"Oh, tell about it,"
begged Maud, when the general laugh at Polly's picture had subsided.
Well, in the first place, we forgot my ivy, and Kitty came running after me with it. Then we started again, but were soon stopped by a great shouting, and there was Will racing down the hill, waving a pillow in one hand and a squash pie in the other. How we did laugh when he came up and explained that our neighbour, old Mrs. Dodd, had sent in a hot pillow for me in case of headache, and a pie to begin housekeeping with. She seemed so disappointed at being too late that Will promised to get them to me if he ran all the way to town. The pillow was easily disposed of, but that pie! I do believe it was stowed in every part of the wagon, and never stayed anywhere. I found it in my lap, then on the floor, next upside down among the books, then just on the point of coasting off a trunk into the road, and at last it landed in my rocking chair. Such a remarkable pie as it was, too, for in spite of all its wanderings it never got split or broken, and we finally ate it for lunch in order to be left in peace. Next, my kitty got away, and I had a chase over walls and brooks before I got her, while Mr. Brown sat shaking with fun to see me run. We finished off by having the bookshelves tumble on our heads as we went down a hill, and losing my chair off behind as we went up a hill. A shout made us pause, and looking back, there was the poor little chair rocking all by itself in the middle of the road, while a small boy sat on the fence and whooped. It was great fun, I do assure you.
Polly had run on in her lively way, not because she thought her adventures amounted to much, but from a wish to cheer up her friends, who had struck her as looking rather dull and out of sorts, especially Mr. Shaw, and when she saw him lean back in his chair with the old hearty laugh, she was satisfied, and blessed the unlucky pie for amusing him.
"Oh, Polly, you do tell such interesting things,"
sighed Maud, wiping her eyes.
I wish I'd met you. I'd have given you 3 cheers and a tiger, for it must have been an imposing spectacle,"
said Tom.
"No, you wouldn't. You'd have whisked round the corner when you saw me coming, or have stared straight before you, utterly unconscious of the young woman in the baggage wagon."
Polly laughed in his face just as she used to do when she said that, and in spite of the doubt cast upon his courtesy, Tom rather liked it, though he had nothing to say for himself but a reproachful,
"Now, Polly, that's too bad."
"True, nevertheless. You must come and see my pets, Maud, for my cat and bird live together as happily as brother and sister,"
said Polly, turning to Maud, who devoured every word she said.
"That's not saying much for them,"
muttered Tom, feeling that Polly ought to address more of her conversation to him.
Polly knows what she's talking about. Her brothers appreciate their sisters,
observed Fanny in her sharp tone.
"And Polly appreciates her brothers. Don't forget to add that, ma'am,"
answered Tom.
"Did I tell you that Will was going to college?"
broke in Polly to avert the rising storm.